It's live, pal. I am chill. You are watching my review that I didn't do, but I've come to finally come through. I said that already. Thank Ferric. Let's talk about this episode where I had notes and they're not there anymore, so I gotta go off the dome. The thing is with this episode is I was depressed watching this thing, thinking, oh, it's gonna be bad. Oh, they're going to Navarro. That didn't please me. Now, filler is a strong word that we use when something doesn't. What's going on? What's your name? That all five letters and numbers. What's going on? Filler is a word we use too often. I'm gonna say that this was B plot. There's A plot and there's B plot. Aggressively relaxing gives it a 10. You see, we are never on the same page when it comes to the Star Wars shit. I'll give it a 7. It was weak when the episode started, and then with all the revelations that happened, and I'll get there. Well, everything is spoilers on my channel, but I still want to do it in order of the episode. And I'm right at the beginning, and then XR Kun, Jedi Master, and Captain Comics. How you doing, sir? Yeah, just the bad things that I saw in the beginning. Oh, what's going on, Fenrir? When the baby was put in red to blue, and I saw like all the reviewers on YouTube who I saw, they're all talking about a red lightsaber means he's evil, a blue lightsaber is the Jedi side, and we were trying to see and read into it too deeply. Ugh, I don't think it was that serious. Maybe it is. Who knows? But I don't think that way. Actually, I think the actor who was inside the uniform was being like, "Hey, baby, do this, do that," and his face was moving, and that Pedro Pascal is over at the studio recording a voice. It didn't sync up. It looked like a guy who was miming and doing this, but not at this appropriate times that Pedro Pascal was talking. Rewatch that scene, you'll see what I mean. There was other cheap moments like that too where, okay, I talked about the puppets. That little weasel that Cara Dune was looking at, no, man. It looks fake. The baby, when it was far away trying to pick wires and put one into the other, that looked real because it was so far away. We didn't really get the zoom in, and whenever they give us a baby Yoda picture, it's always short. Never long enough to be like, oh, okay, that's the same wrinkle that's on his side no matter what face he's making. Happy, we can never analyze the puppet. It looks real. And I know they do a little CGI on it. Fenrir says I give this episode 6.5, but I'm curious because I think I saw an Ahsoka reference. Is she on the way? Well, we did see an Ahsoka reference in the previous episode. What's the Ahsoka reference you think you saw in this episode? I don't think there was any. So the Weasel was cheap. Going back to Navarro, B plot. Even though it is A plot. Clone Wars Rebels is where I'm coming from. That's my A plot. Seeing Bo-Katan, seeing all that. That's A plot. And then, even though this was paying homage and building on the stories that we built the previous season, with Moff Gideon showing up, Cara Dune and Grief Karga, the planet of Navarro, that's going to be their low fall of this series. I consider it the B plot, especially knowing Zoom Ahsoka Tano is on the way. Hurry up and get me to that Ahsoka Tano episode, which we are, I think, a few hours away from. I don't know what the math is. I think we're 28 hours away at this point right now. We're not. We're 31 hours. That's gonna be crazy. So that happens. Episode goes on. There's a little mission. They cleaned house. I noticed the man with the pants after I watched this episode. There's actually a guy on the set wearing street clothes from Earth. That's funny. That doesn't ruin anything for me. Just kind of fun thing to know about. Whatever. Like I said, I didn't have notes, so I didn't really get to review properly. Aggressively relaxing says 10. And then we got 6.5. Fenrir goes, hey, Bo-Katan is 10 years younger than Obi-Wan. because there's a huge controversy being started by fake fans. What could the controversy possibly be? Is it like the boob armor controversy? I never addressed it here, and I'm not going to. You can't give it. Well, I guess I'm addressing it now. If I'm going to further on this, so I'm addressing it. You can't. But generally, for all controversies and stupid things, if you hate something or if you dislike something, or you think it's completely stupid, by speaking on it on our channels, we're fueling the fire. So, like something ridiculous, for example, like boob armor. Well, the reason that they have boob on their armor is because their anatomy isn't flat; it's rounded. Therefore, the armor makes up for that. There is a problem. I think Anita Sarkeesian's the one who wrote it. There's definitely a problem with over sexualizing women, but this is a battle she didn't need to pick. I think it was reasonably sized to fit the form of the human being occupying that space. About her age, Bo-Katan wasn't with Obi-Wan. I thought that was Duchess Satine. Duchess Satine, that's her name, and she's not even with us. It's about her age because they think the actor she's too young for the role. Okay. I'm forgiving with that. When it comes to casting, I guess she is too young. We can just say she looks young for her age, and we'll leave it there. I don't mind. What's going on aggressively? It was like a mini New Hope. This is the base we get in and blow it up. Kathleen Kennedy does it again. Listen, buddy, you better stop that Kathleen Kennedy praise. All right, stick to your Ronin prank phone calls and stay out of giving Kathleen Kennedy love. And Anita Sarkeesian is crazy. She's just trying to be relevant. And the sad thing is, maybe not sad is the right word. And the thing is, I wouldn't have known about her article if it wasn't for the SJW YouTubers making videos on it. I would have no idea. Background noise. Okay. Now, where was it? I was in the middle of the episode, wasn't I? So we get to see all of these test tubes, and it could be connecting to Snoke. The thing is, I know the answer to Snoke. I think Palpatine is the one who started it in Rise of Skywalker. If I would have watched Rise of Skywalker twice, maybe I would know the answer to it, like word for word and everything. But I didn't. He said what? The armor was perfect and accurate from the Clone Wars. It was like, I was looking at it. It's perfect. Yeah, it was just accurate. That's all. 10 years isn't that much of a gap. Not when you're like from the age 40 and 50, right? But 10 years is a big gap from 10 to 20. But you are right about that. It's not a big gap for 40 years old. I can forgive it. There's a lot I'm willing to forgive when it comes to like age or something. On a side note, that's not related. Chadwick Boseman passed and T'Challa will be recasted, I believe. I do need them to cast someone who is the same age. Right around 40. I think Chadwick Boseman died at 43. I may be wrong about that. But let's get someone who's 40. If you want to go a little bit younger just because you can, go ahead and do that. Especially because he was snapped away, so he shouldn't have aged at all. So you could be like, yeah, look, he was 40. We're just gonna be accurate, and then you get an actor for a little bit longer, whose body's gonna be in shape a little bit longer. So that would make sense. And side note that's not related. You have to cast someone who's black. You can't cast someone like Michael B. Jordan, who I heard John Campea suggest. He's too light skinned to play someone who's been in Africa, whose parents are bred with Africans and Africa. You can't just go, oh, look, someone light-skinned black. Doesn't work that way. No. A new episode did not come out. It's just I hadn't done my review here until this moment here. I was going to do it on Friday, then I was going to do it on Saturday, and then life happened, and now I'm here. Talking about the test tubes and what it could mean. Moff Gideon may have a loyalty to Vader, and so all of those are Anakin's. And Hayden Christensen may be on the way. Give this guy a phone call. Hey, we're going to use you. You're going to be the Vader clone. Okay? No, no, don't worry. James Earl Jones is not going to speak over your voice. It'll be you. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Thanks. What's Hayden doing right now? Pull up his IMDb. He's not active. Divorced with Rachel Bilson, I believe. That's Summer from the OC. Snoke is a failed clone, I think. Yeah, he's a failed everything. Obi-Wan lives in a desert planet like a goddamn monk. She lived like a Mandalorian leader would. What? Wait, do they have a romance though? Bo-Katan and Obi-Wan? Is that what you're getting at? I feel like there's something you're not saying that I'm not picking up on, Fenrir. North African isn't black? North African isn't black? No, black is black. I just mean the skin color needs to match in darkness. You get it? Darkness needs to be of the darkest humanly possible. I mean, be as dark as Chadwick Boseman. That's all I'm saying. Because let's think of somebody. Let's look at basketball. Okay, LeBron James is black. Kobe Bryant are both black, right? But then there's also the Russell Westbrook who's black, and Russell Westbrook's skin is lighter than LeBron James. I'm saying hire a LeBron, not a Russell. In terms of color, Rob Lowe still looks young. Reality's canon makes no sense. I'm not even sure who Rob Lowe is, brother. Rob Lowe. I'm Googling him. Oh, this dude? So his age is 56, but when I looked at him, yeah, I didn't think a 56-year-old. Maybe a 46-year-old. Okay. Yeah, I'm forgiving of like age stuff. I'll forgive that. Because I just want to take the story. And I know Star Wars, sometimes they tell stories in one time period and another. Like the next Disney Plus is going to be Obi-Wan. That's a time period 10 years before Mandalorian starts. I'll take it. Like we can have Bo-Katan act in that series also. You never know. You get Rosario Dawson. Maybe Ahsoka Tano visits Obi-Wan on Tatooine. She's like, I just wanted to see my master's old home. Whoa, is that you? I go by Ben Kenobi now. Snips. You said, no, she had a romance with Katan's sister. Yeah, it's a team. He had a romance with Katan's sister, yeah. And trust me, in Africa, there are all kinds of different shades of black here, so are very light. Okay, but look at where in Africa Wakanda is. Look at what his color his parents were, well, his father was. We don't know the color of his mom. Look at what color his sister is. And we should gather that the Black Panther new castmate should be equally dark as Boseman. And he could be a few years younger for all I care. You know, it could be that Jonathan Mayburn guy who was supposed to play Kang the Conqueror. He plays Tick on Lovecraft Country. Could be him that was been casted to play T'Challa, and we just don't know it. They probably really thought this through, like the way that they'll present this guy. Will it be in a room full of fans at Comic-Con? Hooray! You have that, then there's going to be no negative backlash. Like, I don't see any fans would be looking at that like, so this is how Liberty dies, with thunderous applause. I got a ride for my T'Challa. He can't be replaced. Like, those people just don't get it. Like, all the comments on that video I did about 5 days ago, all the comments, most of them are like agreeing with me and adding to it, adding to the argument. Like the latest guy who wrote a comment, he was saying how Chadwick Boseman died, yes, but what precedent does this set? Okay, he dies and then we kill the character of T'Challa. And Letitia Wright can be Black Panther. God forbid, who knows if Letitia Wright, something happens where she can't act in Black Panther 3. What, do we eliminate the Shuri character next? You don't do that. You got your plan. Like, things are planned out by Marvel. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Imagine if they just eliminated a movie from Phase 3. What happens to the Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, and everything they had built to it? It doesn't work that way. We work in phases. If this was a singular franchise, if Rocky passed between episode 3 and fourth movie, then we wouldn't have had If He Dies, He Dies, Ivan Drago, or any of those. Anything that came after wouldn't have Creed. I get that, because that franchise works that way. This one is a accumulation of films in Marvel. there's a plan set in place that they've started. They've filmed Black Widow, filmed Eternals, filmed all the Disney Plus shows. Shang-Chi was filmed too. You can't just abandon that. Plot points need to be hit. Read more of these. You guys are good at writing comments, giving me more to talk about. Even though this is the Star Wars and we're talking about Marvel for most of it. Central Africa, I think. And trust me, it still applies. Wakanda is in the Niger-Congo region. Yeah, Paul Rudd existing makes no sense with the rest of the story of history. Not if you ignore the Lazarus Pit from DC. I heard they're gonna try and cast him to make that crazy crap of him being Reed Richards' great grandson in the 31st century, but it was all proven to be a lie. Where did you hear that from? We're talking about Jonathan Mayburn, right? And that is the common American version of an African. What's the common American version of an African? You mean Wakanda or Russell Westbrook? I forgot what were we referencing there. Reefer goes, "Hi, y'all. Hi. Back to Star Wars. So these Death Troopers, these cloned, these black uniforms that sort of resemble Darth Vader, lead me to believe that the people inside those test tubes that they're trying to create are supposed to be Vader. To repeat the Palpatine thing isn't wise to me. We have Hayden Christensen, an actor who can play that. If we defeat Moff Gideon, who's like our real villain, we need to be a second villain, like who's even greater. Anakin, it's got to be Vader. You're gonna get those metachlorians from the baby into somebody new. You said in the comics, Kang being Reed's grandson. I knew about that. Chadwick's look. Oh, Chadwick's look is what, the common American version of an African? Yeah. So you're saying there's different shades of Africa. Fine. Everything I say still applies though, with the genetics from his parents produced a dark-skinned baby. The sister is dark-skinned. We haven't seen T'Challa's mother. Ramonda isn't his mother. Ramonda is his mother dies, and his father remarries. In the MCU, they never touched on that. I'm just going off comic book stuff. So maybe you're trying to say that the mother was really light, and that produced that the light mother and the dark father can produce a Russell Westbrook skin color of T'Challa? I still say no. Were those supposed to be people or suits at the end? I say they were suits. They were empty suits. That's how I interpreted it when I first viewed it. But other folks on YouTube are saying they were from the video game and they're not alive. They're robotic. And I'm just saying I just saw suits. That's all I saw. They were suits. They weren't moving or anything. Just suits. Camera panned away really, really quickly after. And that's about when I'm like, okay, this episode was worth it. Little adventure, little bit of a mystery, some more answers. They mentioned M count, which is kind of a talking point here, where everyone's saying they're shy to say midichlorian since fans didn't receive it very well. I accept midichlorians. I think that's a good reason for why Luke Skywalker was the only pilot in New Hope to shoot properly, use the Force, and let it go in, just because he's got the midichlorians. Because then he could have been like, yo, no, you guys, pilots, come true. I'm going to teach you guys about the Force, right? So the Force means you just got to believe and all this can happen. I'm sure he did that with Antilles and them other pilots. But it didn't work for them. That's because they don't have the midichlorians. And I have another theory that's confirmed now with all the Star Wars that I'm watching, that your midichlorians can pass from father to son, which is why the Jedi say not to have kids and have offsprings, because it seems to turn out badly every single time when the midichlorians go from father to son or daughter, however it works. the slave complexion. You mean Western Africans had darker skin? You're everywhere. You go from Thrawn to the slave's complexion. Maybe he took a long time away from the sun. When you say long time, that's got to be like a generational departure from the sun, though. Back to Star Wars, though. M count is just Doctor Shorthand. Yeah, I know what you mean now. Yeah, we abbreviate everything when, especially when we're familiar with terms. Kinesiology is something that students take, but if you ever talk to a student, they'll be like, keen. That's how they speak because that's their field and they don't want to say the whole world every time. Psych, they just say psych instead of psychiatrics. I watch Grey's Anatomy. That's why I'm thinking of all these things. They call peds for, what's the study of young people? Pediatrician? Yeah, they just go ped. So the whole M count thing does make sense in universe. And if you were sensitive to hear about midichlorians, no! Shut up. It's part of Star Wars. And it's a part of Star Wars that I like. So the midichlorians from the baby are really, really high. Okay, in canon, all I know, someone can add in hopefully, 20,000 midichlorians. Above 20,000 midichlorians. That's how many Anakin had. And that is more than Master Yoda, which is what Obi-Wan replied to when Qui-Gon Jinn told him, wow, 20,000, that's more than Master Yoda. This baby has somewhere near 20,000 midichlorians in my estimation. Force dyads are something we were introduced to in episode 9. Rey and Ben were Force dyads. Even though they weren't born on the same day. There is a theory, possibly, that Palpatine influenced the midichlorians to create life on Tatooine with Anakin. And that was 50 years ago. The same time that little child who has no name was also created. I'm making connections. Pediatricians, get your mind out of the gutter. I don't know what you mean by that. Where was I? Midichlorians? Yeah, they're awesome, right? Okay, so it's possible that the baby is a dyad with Anakin? Maybe. Even though you don't gotta be born on the same year. It's possible that Palpatine was getting busy over there. And that's just a theory. Skills. Hello. Never mind. So that's about the end of the episode. We have completed this review. Not too good a review because I didn't have notes. Now I know to create notes. Look, I was down on this episode from the jump. And as time passed and as more things revealed, I'm like, okay, I guess this kind of is important. I guess we did get some valuable stuff learned from this episode. Next episode, Ahsoka Tano is back. Woman in orange who has a lightsaber. I am so joyful. The same feelings I was feeling when Luke Skywalker at the end of Force Awakens unhooded saw that lightsaber. I'm there right now with my emotions because I know this character is the return of good guys, of Force users. Star Wars can do pilots. It can do bounty hunters. It can do martial arts. But when you do combat with lightsabers and the Force, there's nothing that competes with that. Probably any kind of fighting. I mentioned Rocky earlier. I'd rather see a lightsaber duel with Duel of the Fates playing in the background than any day. You know what was awesome though? When Captain America had the hammer doing combos with the shields. Let me strike him with lightning too and see if that works. That was awesome also. So maybe like you can do some superhero stuff. That's awesome when it comes to fighting. Man of Steel had good fighting. I did not see the episode 5 spoilers, and please don't enter them in the chat. I heard Ryan, no, not Ryan, what's his name? Josh from Den of Nerds talking about it, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to this, and I took off my headphones and skipped ahead of the video. I don't know anything about spoilers. I'm so happy I don't. It's better this way. So fighting in lightsabers is better, and we get Ahsoka returning. The amount of hope that I have, because it's literally the return of the Jedi, not literally, and we're gonna get happiness. Like, we're gonna get prequel eras. So many of these Jedi. A lot of them died in the Battle of Geonosis, but they were still plentiful, enough to watch all of Clone Wars, enough to, get to Order 66, and then they just all do not survive. I was on a website few hours ago seeing how many people actually survived Order 66, and they all turn into Inquisitors, or they all die, or they all survive for the first wave of it. They get rid of their Padawan to survive and sacrifice themselves. There's not that many who are alive, and I want that to build, and Ahsoka represents that. So yeah, I want to see Bo-Katan with the lightsabers versus Dark Trooper Armored Moff Gideon with Dark Saber. Yeah, I want to see that too. I'm outie though. That's the review for the most part. I say 7 out of 10. In a few short hours tomorrow, we're gonna get a 10 out of 10 Ahsoka Tano Dave Filoni directed episode of The Mandalorian, and that thought puts a smile to my face.